What is up, YouTube? Hope you guys having a wonderful day. You know, I just got done, hanging out with some friends, and I really got to thinking from having a conversation or a group conversation, right? And I think many people uh see this too, but I think the thought of being independent is a scam. Like think about it. At one point in our lives, right? It was considered looked down upon to live with your parents. And now that joke has literally became a reality. And personally for me, it don't really bother me and I don't really care because at the end of the day, I'm helping my parents and I'm also, helping myself financially. So, I don't see the whole, stigma behind it or joke, but I do know that certain cultures and certain races of individuals will kick out their kids at 18 and act like it's not a big deal. Like they'll raise them from the day that they came out the womb, treat them like a king or queen, and next thing you know, as soon as they graduate or as soon as they turn 18, they just kick them out. And they have no regrets, no remorse. They just kick them out in the world as if like they're nothing to them. And their excuse is, "Oh, he'll learn or she'll learn." That's the best thing to do. That's what they would say, right? And there's some truth to that, to what they're saying. There's some reality truth to that. But to me, it's like it's just kind of crazy because from personal experience, I left my parents' house at one point in my life, right? And I was an independent individual for 2 years, from the age of 20 years old to 23. I stayed in Dallas, Texas, one of the largest cities in America, home to like over a million residents, right? And I was I was literally blown away of the amount of condensed volume of people living in a city. Like I mean, the opportunities were crazy. Like I went through 10 jobs in 1 year. But little did I know that those jobs were easy to get because they were jobs that nobody wanted to do. They were mainly warehouse, forklift, physical labor jobs that were paying like next to none. Like I was literally job hopping from a $14 hour job to 17, 18. Then eventually I got to like a $22 hour job. And then I went back to 18 and I was thinking to myself, like, this isn't practical or realistic for for a man who wants to like build his funds and get his stuff together and check and invest into like other ventures so that way you don't have to rely on this source of income. And that made me realize, oh wow, I need to learn a skill because skills, the difference between a skill and seniority at a job is that once you lose that seniority you have to start over at another job. If you learn a skill and you gain the experience within 1 to 2 years at that job, you literally just got a raise at your next job. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually like $5 or $10 more than what you were getting paid without that experience. So, but yeah, I moved out of my parents' house, came back, and I felt more at peace. I hate to say it, but when I was homeless and sleeping in my car, and I was getting harassed by police officers every single day. Not every single day, but like at least once a week because I had like expired tags and they wouldn't like leave me alone. Sometimes they'll ask me like, what am I doing with stuff in my car? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just like sleeping in my car right now. I'm not trying to buy an apartment for $15 to $2,000 just to have, like, dirty, mentally ill neighbors. That's one of the worst things that you can do as a young person. Be neighbors with somebody who's disgusting, is attracting roaches, bugs, or just, not a good human being in general, right? But one thing for sure is that living with your parents is like is not even that bad as it sounds. Because unless like unless you want to be like pro independent, you want to let everybody know in the whole world that you came up from nothing, you didn't need nobody, which is a false statement in itself. Then yeah, go, be what you got, be do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, that independent title is only temporarily. Either you got a million or $1 billion, you're not going to stay independent as an individual. And I'm just speaking facts here. But personally, for me, as I grew up and I'm soon to be 27, I realized that there's a difference between being rich financially and being a rich in life. And a wise man once said, you can win all the businesses in the world, but if you don't win in life, it absolutely means nothing. So, hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys later.